All right, so moving to the next one, like uh, all these data are there, and when you need to report it or n- get to know the insight of the data, you need to first of all shape up this data that can be easy to understand by the system and you can report it, right? So to keep that, and not only that, I mean, because your sources could be different kind of the sources, and where you have your data and that you wanted to understand it. um, so the common term is used and the process is used called the ETL process, that is used to process the data and give give provide a shape of the data so that it can be easy to report and visualize and understand what is going on inside that business process or data. So as if you see, the extract transform load is the full form the ETL, where we do the extract of the data first from the source, and definitely we're talking about the source and target. Target is a your final destination where data will be in a final shape so that it can be reported effectively and efficiently. So the source, you perform your extract, and by using this tool, there are so many tools for available, and depending on the what kind of data you're processing, whether it's unstructured data, structured data, or semi-structured data. Most of the tools suppose the semi-structured and structured data for ETL work, and there are, if you're processing with the unstructured data, then you need to go for the big data tools and technology for processing of that. And so once you have your source, whether it's a database, whether it's a Excel, or whether it's a combination of all, you extract the data from the source, and then you do the transformation is mainly like the changing the data that is suitable for your final to make it consumable so you can consume it in your reporting, right? So in this example, if you see that the source is a member and we have a three value ID, name, and first name and last name, right? When you're transforming, I don't care about the first name and last name, so I consider it as a name. So what we are doing is that we are extracting the data and then we are doing the transformation. We are adding first name and last name and producing as a final output is a name, and then we are loading into our target system. So that's why it's called the ETL process, and it's well needed for give the data your final shape, and that's your uh, ETL process. And generally, I mean, whatever the tool we are using that perform the transformation in on that particular intermediate pipeline and the process, and then finally load the data into target system. The problem with this kind of the tool is that extraction happen on the source and transformation on the runtime, but it still is consumed all the resources. So this process is quite kind of the time taking many times and not very effective for the large data set. So it's very important whether you are working on any ETL process, whatever the method that you're using doesn't matter. It's very important. The sooner the you release the source system would be better, because the longer you block the source system, it may impact to the core functionality of the source application or the system. So in any data warehouse and ETL project is very important. You need to be mindful, don't consume the much resource of the source, and the sooner you can release the source would be better, and the only get the data that is required. Never ever try to get all the data that is on a source, right? So it's depend on the your use case and the process, but still, I mean, identify the delta what you need to process. Again, I use the delta as a word term. So delta is used for the your differential information that is not in a target. So for the source system, if you are like you're making order every day in your application, whatever the application is processing the order, and your target is system is capturing that on a daily basis. So whatever the difference from the yesterday to till date is the your delta that you wanted to process into target. So that's basically your delta information that you process is. When it's come for the extract, load, and transformation, the big benefit is that you're loading the data into target system very first, and then you're performing the transformation that you wanted to use it. And, and that pattern is also very popular and used, especially in the kind of the big data structure processing where you don't be very much dependent on the source system. Once the data is there, it will be loaded directly into your target system. And once the data load is done, then you perform the transformation, right? And that's true for the relational database and traditional warehouse system also. Like, definitely it's take more resource and compute, but the big advantage of the ELT is that your source is not going to be impacted much. So there are so many technology that ship the data from source into target, and once it's on target, that you can process from there. So that's the big difference. I mean, it's doing the same thing in a different way, with the the different use case and the advantage of that. So you can use the either way. This is just a concept that you can apply. You can extract the data, then you can transform, and then you can load as a final clean data into your target system. Or you can extract the data and load into target system, and then you can perform the transformation on the target system based on the need, how you wanted to save your data. So that's a little bit about the extract, transform, and load, or ELT or ETL process. There are so many different tools that we can use. I mean, Informatica, SSIS, and there are so many other tools also for doing that. And in big data space, you have Apache Hadoop that can be used for the same purpose, and HDFS for processing on that. So there are a lot more things that can be used on a different scenario.